Picture this, it's the 1960s, the Soviet Union is flexing its industrial muscles, and out on the icy roads of Siberia, there's a truck. Not just any truck, a beastly, smoke-belching Soviet truck, hauling timber or potatoes or who knows what through the frozen tundra. But here's the kicker, this truck has no doors. Asterisk pause for dramatic effect asterisk, that's right, comrades, no doors. Just a gaping hole where a door should be, with the driver sitting there, wind blasting their face, probably questioning every life choice that led them to this moment. Why on earth would anyone design a truck like this? Was it a mistake? A prank? Or some secret Soviet genius we're only now unraveling? Buckle up, or, well, hold on tight, because there's no door to keep you in as we dive into the bizarre, hilarious, and downright fascinating story of why Soviet trucks had no doors. Hit that subscribe button, because trust me, you're gonna want to stick around for this one. Let's rewind to the Soviet Union, a place where practicality was the national anthem and comfort was a foreign concept. The USSR was all about building stuff, big stuff, tough stuff, stuff that could survive a nuclear winter or a bear attack. Trucks were the backbone of this empire, carrying everything from steel to cabbages across a country so massive it spanned 11 time zones. Brands like GAZ, ZIL, and Ural were the Soviet equivalents of superheroes, except instead of capes, they had rust and a permanent smell of diesel. These trucks weren't just vehicles, they were symbols of Soviet grit, designed to conquer mud, snow, and the occasional pothole the size of a small lake. But here's where it gets weird. If you look at models like the GAZ 51 or the ZIL's 130, you'll notice something off. The cab looks like it's missing something. Like, doors. Imagine climbing into one of these bad boys in the middle of a Siberian blizzard, with temperatures so low your eyelashes freeze together, and there's just nothing between you and the outside world except a flimsy canvas flap, if you're lucky. Asterisk pause and lean into the mic asterisk I can hear you now, who signed off on this? Was the engineer drunk on vodka? Did they forget the doors at the factory? Oh, it gets better. Let's unpack the madness. The why behind the design, so why no doors? Let's start with the most obvious reason, cost. The Soviet Union was obsessed with efficiency, well, their version of it. Building millions of trucks for farms, factories, and the military meant cutting corners wherever possible. Doors? Those are just fancy metal rectangles with hinges and handles cost money. In the Grand Soviet plan, every ruble saved on a truck was a ruble that could go toward building another tank or a statue of Lenin. So, some genius at the GAZ factory probably said, "Comrades, why do we need doors? The driver can just jump in." And everyone nodded, because questioning the plan was a one-way ticket to a gulag. But it wasn't just about saving money. There was a weird kind of logic to this doorless design. Soviet trucks were built for extreme conditions, think muddy fields, rocky mountains, or roads that were more suggestion than reality. If a truck got stuck, the driver needed to hop out fast to dig it out or, wrestle a wolf. Doors could get jammed with mud or ice, trapping the driver inside. A doorless cab? That's instant access to freedom, or at least a quick escape from whatever disaster was unfolding. Plus, in the military versions of these trucks, soldiers needed to leap in and out during combat drills. Doors would just slow things down. So, in a twisted way, no doors equaled speed and survival. The driver's life. Now, let's talk about the real heroes here, the drivers. Imagine being Ivan, a chain-smoking, fur hat-wearing trucker in 1970s Kazakhstan. Your job is to haul 10 tons of coal across 500 kilometers of frozen dirt roads. You climb into your ZIL's 130, and the wind hits you like a slap from Baba Yaga herself. No doors, just a steering wheel, a seat that feels like it's made of concrete, and a canvas top that's flapping in the breeze. You're basically driving a mobile refrigerator. Your only companions? A thermos of tea that's gone cold, a radio blasting Soviet anthems, and the occasional hitchhiking soldier who's also questioning why there's no door. These drivers were tough as nails. They'd wrap themselves in layers of wool, stuff newspapers into their boots for insulation, and drive for hours with snow piling up on their lap. One driver, according to a story I found in an old Soviet magazine, claimed he grew a beard just to keep his face from freezing off. True story or not, it paints a picture. And here's the wild part, these guys didn't complain much. Complaining wasn't exactly a Soviet virtue. They just got on with it, because that's what you did when your truck had no doors and your boss was a guy named Comrade Efficiency. The cultural angle. Okay, let's zoom out. The doorless truck wasn't just a design choice, it was a vibe, a whole Soviet aesthetic. The USSR loved things that screamed, "We don't need your bourgeois comforts." Doors? That's for soft Westerners who can't handle a little frostbite. This was the same country that made people queue for 3 hours for a loaf of bread and called it character building. A truck with no doors fit right into that mindset. It was like the Soviet Union saying, "We're so tough, we don't even need to stay warm." And you know what's crazy? This design became iconic. People started associating doorless trucks with Soviet ruggedness. There are stories of drivers bragging about their doorless cabs, like it was a badge of honor. "Oh, you have a door on your truck. Cute. I drive a GAZ-51, and I haven't felt my toes since 1964. It's like the Soviet version of a flex. In fact, some drivers would refuse to use the optional canvas flaps because they thought it made them look weak. Asterisk pause and chuckle asterisk. Can you imagine the comment section on this? Real men don't need doors. Drop a comment below if you drive a doorless truck just to prove a point. I'm dying to know. The downsides, because, now, let's be real, no doors wasn't all Soviet swagger and glory. There were some serious downsides. For one, the weather. Soviet winters are no joke. We're talking minus 40 degrees Celsius, the kind of cold that makes your truck's engine cry. Drivers were basically human popsicles by the end of their shift. And it wasn't just cold, rain, mud, and dust would fly into the cab, turning the driver into a soggy, filthy mess. One account from a ZIL driver described how he'd finish a trip looking like he'd been wrestling a pig in a swamp. Then there was safety. Or, the lack of it. No doors meant no protection if you hit a bump and went flying out of the cab. There are stories, possibly exaggerated, but who knows, of drivers tumbling out of their trucks during sharp turns. And let's not forget theft. Park your doorless truck in a sketchy area, and good luck keeping your tools or lunch from walking away. The Soviet Union wasn't exactly a hotbed of crime, but even comrades weren't above swiping a spare tire or a bottle of vodka from an unguarded cab. Did it make sense? So, was this doorless design genius or insanity? Honestly, a bit of both. On one hand, it was practical for the Soviet reality, cheap, rugged, and built for a country where good enough was the gold standard. On the other hand, it was a nightmare for drivers who just wanted to stay dry or, not die of hypothermia. The truth is, the Soviet Union prioritized function over comfort, and the doorless truck was the ultimate symbol of that philosophy. It's like they took the idea of less is more and ran with it, straight into a blizzard. Interestingly, not all Soviet trucks were doorless. Later models, like the KAMAZ series in the 1970s, started adding doors as the USSR realized that, hey, maybe drivers deserve to stay alive. But the doorless era left a legacy. Even today, old GAZ and ZIL trucks are collector's items, and some enthusiasts restore them to their doorless glory, canvas flaps and all. There's a whole subculture of Soviet vehicle nerds who'll argue for hours about whether doors ruin the vibe. Asterisk pause asterisk. I'm serious, check the comments. I bet there's at least one guy saying, doors are overrated, bring back the GAZ-51. The modern lens. Now, let's bring this into 2025. Could a doorless truck exist today? Imagine pitching this to a modern car company. You walk into Tesla's headquarters like, Elon, hear me out, no doors. It's rugged, it's cheap, it's vibes. You'd be laughed out of the room. Today's trucks are rolling computers with heated seats and Wi-Fi. The idea of a doorless vehicle feels like something from a post-apocalyptic movie, not a serious design choice. But maybe there's something we can learn from the Soviets. In a world obsessed with overcomplicating everything, there's a certain charm to stripping things down to the basics, even if those basics include frostbite. And let's not forget the storytelling angle. The doorless truck is more than a quirky design, it's a window into a time and place where people made do with what they had. It's a reminder that humans are ridiculously adaptable. Whether it's driving a doorless truck through a snowstorm or commenting on a YouTube video in 2025, we find ways to roll with the punches. So, next time you're stuck in traffic in your cozy SUV, spare a thought for Ivan, out there in his GAZ51, with no doors, no heater, and a whole lot of Soviet attitude. So, there you have it, the wild, weird, and oddly inspiring story of why Soviet trucks had no doors. It's a tale of cost-cutting, crazy logic, and drivers who were tougher than a Tu-34 tank. What do you think? Could you handle driving a doorless truck in a Russian winter? Or is this the kind of design choice that makes you glad you live in the 21st century? Drop a comment below, I'm reading every single one, and I want to hear your thoughts. Did this story blow your mind? Make you laugh? Make you want to move to Siberia and start a trucker vlog? Let me know. If you loved this deep dive into Soviet weirdness, smash that like button and subscribe for more stories that make you go, wait, what? We've got more bizarre history, quirky designs, and mind-blowing facts coming your way. And if you're feeling extra comrade level awesome, hit that bell icon so you never miss a video. Until next time, keep your doors on or don't. I'm not your boss. Stay curious, stay awesome, and I'll see you in the next one.